All right, so I wrote this book, Rainmaker, in order to provide you with a blueprint for success in real estate when it comes to lead generation. And if you look at the 80-20 rule, the 80-20 rule says that 20% of what we do creates 80% of the results. And what are those 20% activities in real estate? They're dollar productive activities or dollar producing activities. And they are lead generation, meeting with buyers and sellers, taking listings, writing offers, negotiating contracts, and practicing and role playing your scripts. Now, if you asked, what's the 20% of the 20%? Well, that would be one thing, right? And if you've read the book, The One Thing, that's the whole concept behind this book. And if you haven't read it, get it, read it. It's a great book. And the idea behind the 20% of the 20%, well, it's lead generation. So again, this book was written to give you a blueprint to do the one thing that's going to have the greatest impact on your real estate business. Now, I want to visually walk you through this today and show you what this looks like. All right, give me a moment to adjust screen. I'm going to be off screen for a little bit, but that's okay. You know what I look like. I would love for you to get pen and paper and draw this yourself. Here we go. So you got 3 buckets where leads are going to come from. And somebody give me a thumbs up if you can see that, because on my screen it looks kind of light. Okay, cool. And the first bucket is prospecting. And the reason prospecting is in the first bucket is because you want to build a prospecting-based business, marketing enhanced. In other words, everything starts with prospecting. Now, the next bucket is marketing. And the last bucket is repeat and referral business. All right, now, we know our 3 sources of lead generation. Now, how do we put that into a plan? How do we show up every day and make sure we're doing the things that lead to results? So you've got 250 work days in a year. That's if you're working 50 weeks and 5 days a week, it's 250. Now, if you're working 48 weeks, you're taking a month off, cool, no worries, just do the math. 250. My goal is to have 20 conversations a day. That means in a year's time, I'm talking to 5,000 people. Now, I'm prospecting first. In other words, I'm calling for sell by owners, I'm calling expireds, and I'm circle prospecting. And I could do just that every day and build a successful real estate business. In other words, I can build a successful real estate business 100% prospecting based. I'm not suggesting that, I'm just saying you could. Now, marketing. The difference between marketing and prospecting is marketing is what we do to attract business. Prospecting is what we do to proactively go out and find business. So YouTube is an example of marketing. YouTube is a great source of marketing. If you don't have a YouTube channel, you should. Make it fun, make it creative, make sure there's a call to action so that people reach out to you. I'm just going to give you that one example for today. So let's just say one of my sources of marketing is YouTube. Now, repeat and referral business, that's pretty much what it sounds like. That's people who are working with you, who have worked with you before. Repeat business. And referral business is when your past clients, your sphere of influence, refers business to you. So these are the 3 sources of lead generation. This is how I'm going to show up every day and do my one thing, which is lead generation in order to succeed. Now, the other thing I'm going to tell you is I'm a big believer in standards. In other words, what are my non-negotiable standards? Well, my non-negotiable standards are 20 conversations and 3 appointments every day, whichever comes last. Now, that's mine. It doesn't have to be yours. Yours could be 10 conversations and 1 appointment, whichever comes last. I'm fine with that as long as the activity supports your goal. Now, what do you do with these leads that you are creating from lead generating? So first of all, let's define a lead. A lead is a person, a contact, an individual that you have their name, phone number, mailing address, and email address. Unless you have all of that information, it's not a lead, it's just a contact. What are you going to do? Well, let's start by talking about your database. You're going to feed your database from these prospecting calls and from marketing. When you talk to somebody who you haven't met before, they're called a haven't met. And when you speak to them, it's a contact. When you get their name, phone number, email address, and mailing address, they become a new met. Let's add one more thing to my standards. One new contact. By the way, that's super simple. It should be higher than that, but I want to make it easy. That's 250 new contacts in a year. Now, I'm adding people to my database when I am prospecting and also from my marketing. And I am building a pipeline of future business. So when I'm marketing, I'm generating leads that turn into appointments. When it turns into an appointment, it's in your pipeline. Until you meet with them, it's not. If you're prospecting for sell by owners and you talk to a for sell by owner and you have a great conversation, you get their name, their number, their email address, their mailing address, and you don't meet with them, they don't go here. They do go here, but they don't go into your pipeline. It's in your pipeline once you meet with them. Now that 3 appointments a day, for me, 250 times 3 is 750 appointments a year. Now, if it's 1 appointment a day, it's 250 appointments a day. Let's go with that. All right. So in a year's time, you will have met with 250 leads face to face. You're in the door. The purpose of the call is to get the appointment, nothing else. Get the appointment. I'm never going to hire you. Cool. Does today at 4 work or would tomorrow at 5 be better for you? If I ever listed my home, I've already got a realtor. Awesome. Can I pop by today? Okay, you get the point. Go on the appointment. So I've created 250 opportunities that are in my pipeline that I am going to now follow up with systematically. Guys see that line? Good. All right, so everything to the left of this line is lead generation. That's what we're doing here. And when we get an appointment, that lead generation moves over here. Everything to the right of this line is transaction management. That's what we do in order to get a listing sold, to get a buyer under contract and closed. That's doing the transaction of the business. It's transaction management. Now, this giant area in the middle is follow-up. This is where most people fail. Success is in the follow-up. Now, because I have a system and I'm going to plug that system into my database, follow-up's going to happen. If I'm winging this, if I'm working from legal pads and Post-it notes, it's not going to happen. If I'm using my phone, it's not going to happen. But I have a system. And my system, because I set it up that way, is going to tell me to call them once a week for the first 4 weeks. So in month 1, I've made 4 contacts. Now, in month 2 and 3, I'm calling once every other week. So in 3 months, I've made 8 contacts. I think I did the math on that right. Now, I'm going to back it down to once a month.
John, would you mind repeating that?
Okay, so once a week for the first four weeks. In the first month, I'm going to call them 4 times. And then after the first month, These are all the people that I met with. This is my follow-up system. After that first month, I'm going to call once every other week or twice a month. And I'm going to do that in month 2 and month 3. Now, after 3 months, I'm going to back down to once a month. By the time you get to month 3, it's simply, hey, Chandra, it's John Dietz, just checking in, wanted to see how you are and what can I do for you. They know who you are. They know why you're calling. It's a simple check-in call. If they don't answer the phone, leave a message every single time. Make it quick, make it simple. Send them a text message. Make it quick, make it simple. If they're ghosting you, don't start judging and thinking that, oh my gosh, there's no opportunity here, so I'm going to stop calling. Remember what I said earlier, success is in the follow-up. Where most people fail is they don't consistently and persistently follow up without exception. And this line right here represents the day they get serious about selling their home. All right. Everything here, they're not ready yet. Okay. You're never going to change somebody's mind, but they will make a new decision based on new information. And new information shows up. In other words, somewhere between here and here, they found a property to purchase. They made an offer on it. It's closing in 60 days, and they've got to get their home sold now. Okay. New information. Now they're serious. And what's going to happen when they reach that point is they're going to look to see who's still there, who's following up, who's staying close, who has created emotional proximity. And they're going to hire the person who did the best job of staying in touch with them. You don't even have to be the best realtor for the job. You just have to be the best at following up, and you're going to win by default. You're probably going to be the only person who's still calling them. Now, I've told you this before, so repeat. The longest it ever took me to get from here to here was 3 years and 89 phone calls. And when I first met with them, it was, we're never going to hire you. We already have a realtor. And 3 years later, John, come list our house. Now, here's the math. The math is, and you can absolutely bank on this, that this 250 people that you met with that are in your pipeline, 10 to 20% will convert to a listing taken. Guaranteed. How do I know it? Because it's what I did. And what's the difference between 10 and 20%? It's time. It's time on task overtime. It's your level of mastery when it comes to lead conversion. As your lead conversion gets better, that number is going to go up, but it's going to be at least 10%. So at the very least, you got 25 seller listings. All right. Now let's talk about repeat and referral business. In your database, you're going to have your sphere of influence. That's everybody that knows you, knows you're a realtor, and if they were going to buy or sell a home, would potentially work with you. It's everybody who knows you, knows you're a realtor, and if they knew of somebody that was going to buy or sell a home, they would potentially give you the referral. It's also your past clients, anybody that you've worked with before. And in this center circle, you can call them advocates. I call them raving fans. And the reason I call them raving fans is because I read the book. Wish I wrote it, but no. I read the book, Raving Fans. If you haven't read it, read it. And the idea behind this book is how to turn your clients into raving fans, such that you have an army of people who are working in the community as marketing engineers for you. They're telling people, if you're going to sell your home, if you're going to buy a home, you need to work with Valerie. You need to work with Deborah. They're absolutely the best. And they're calling you with, hey, I've got a referral. Now, how do you classify a raving fan? somebody who has sent you more than 2 referrals. If you've got somebody in your past clients or in your sphere of influence who have sent you 3, 4, 5, 10 referrals, they're a raving fan. Now, what do I know about the database? Well, here's what I know. I know that 6.5% are going to move every year. So if I have 200 people in my sphere of influence, that means, rounding it off, I've got 12 real estate transactions if I'm communicating with them effectively. And because I have a system that's set up in a database with a 36 drip campaign, in other words, they're hearing from me 36 times a year with 4 phone calls, 1 per quarter. It's a Ford conversation: family, occupation, recreation, dreams. I'm focused on building relationships, number 1, and I'm focused on bringing value, number 2. So if I call Deborah, I'm checking in. How's your family? What's new at work? Are you accepting new clients? If I had a referral for you, what's the best email address for me to send that to? Hey, by the way, I sent you an article just the other day on the real estate market. It was super interesting. Did you get a chance to read it? Do me a favor and read it, and let's talk. I want to tell you what it's saying. I'm bringing value low. I'm making deposits. And when you make deposits over time, you get to make withdrawals. In other words, withdrawal. Valerie, just out of curiosity, who do you know that's thinking of selling their home? Now, I'm specifically looking for seller listings right now. I'm not asking, who do you know that's thinking of buying or selling? I'm asking, who do you know that's thinking of selling their home? Now, what are you going to get most of the time? I can't think of anybody. So what? Who cares? Now what? What I know is 5% will turn into a referral. In other words, if you have 200 people in your sphere of influence, that's another 10 closed sales. And I haven't even talked about the raving fans, and I'm not going to because we're going to run out of time. Here's one I want to tell you, and we're going to wrap this up. What I just showed you in 20 minutes was a lead generation model that if you'll follow it, remember, we're building a franchise system with an operations manual. And if you follow it exactly the way it's written, including getting 1 appointment, face-to-face appointment every day, at the end of the year, you've got 25 seller listings. They all close. So there's 25 sales. You've got 12 sales from your direct from your repeat business from sphere of influence. So that's 37 sales. And you have 10 sales that came as referrals. So there's 47 sales. What I just showed you was a model to close 47 sales in the next 12 months. Do you believe it? Do you believe it'll work? Because if you don't, it won't work. But if you believe this will work, and you'll have just enough faith to show up every day and follow this model exactly the way I shared it with you, every single one of you will hit your goals. All right. Talk to me, guys.